Hi, welcome back to the Jansen Art Studio. Welcome back to our landscape series, Quick and Easy Landscapes, painting on some 11 by 14 canvases. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to introduce you to a little winterscape. This is kind of fun because you got to put down some cool snow and some warm snow, and the perspective on it is, color perspective on it's a little different. Here's my 11 by 14 canvas, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a big old dollop of white here with some extender, some nice dirty extender from earlier paintings, and I'm going to just give an uneven, very uneven light coat here to the surface. And why uneven? Because I like the highs and lows. You know, sometimes you get a real even coat on it. It makes painting like soft clouds and everything like that really nice. But when you're going to be painting some other things, scenes that have a lot of interest, movement, variation to it, having some unevenness to it, some areas where there's no white, some areas where there's heavier white. This starts a whole feeling of a variation, a difference, and that's what I like to do. So I'm just going to put an uneven coat here on this, and then we're going to come down. Now I'm going to bring a horizon line down only so far, right down in through here, because I'm going to paint a stream here that's kind of frozen over, and so I'm going to bring just a little bit of the horizon line down. Let's take just a touch of our phthalo. I want to cool that because it's a nice winter day. I want to cool that with a little bit of my red violet here, so I make a nice cool bluish color here that I will take right up into, and I have a little bit of that red violet coming out in that. That's nice. Right up into my sky, and I'm going to walk this down into the hills here. Now I'll change the blue up a bit here, a little more phthalo, so this changes. Grab my paper towel here, and you know it's kind of up to you as to when you're painting these. How much sky you're going to show. We've talked about that. How much sky you're going to have in there. How much interest you're going to have into the sky. Are you going to put like little clouds into the sky? Those all become parts of your consideration. I'm going to put a little blue over here because I'm going to put a hill in on this side here, and I want to have some variation. Maybe I will put some light suggestions of some clouds over here, or movement over here. The knife is really good for that. We've shown that with the knife several times. Grab some color here. Let me push this right out of the way. Let's just grab some of our white. We'll just model that with a little bit of our blues here and that red violet. And just model that ever so. And let's just put the idea of a cloud in there. Again, very quick. Just use the knife here. Just model it like that. Nice big color. Let's just drag this over this way a bit and just let that fade away. Get some variations. You can, put those movement lines to the bottom of the clouds that we've done on some other ones if you want. That's kind of nice. There we go. Just a nice little edge there. Now let's cut in. Let's take some of that blue. Okay. We're going to cool that down. A little bit of that red violet and then a tiny bit of that black. Tiny bit of that black to really gray this down. And so we'll make this kind of, and sometimes I'll put in a little red and black, which makes that brownish color. Maybe model a little bit of that into this. And we're going to cut in a hill here. We're just going to cut this in. Let's just say it comes right back here like this. It cuts right across here. And we're going to cut in that little hill. We'll pull down just because this will help soften it. We'll pull across a little bit. This will just soften it a little. I'm not going to use this big brush here for too very long, but it'll just put in the indication there of that. Sometimes I like to come back, okay, and it all depends, and we can revisit, but I'm painting this one right from my brain, so just what I want to see. So when you're doing it this way, of course you have a photo to look at how much to do, but for me what I'm doing is I'm just kind of thinking this up as I go. I got it in my mind here what I want to do, and so I'm going to be evolving the painting. You can see how this is going to go. I'm going to evolve the painting. Now all I'm doing here is breaking this up with some some other movement lines, so that might be like little tree line or something like that. As a matter of fact, you can push a little bit up on some of those to give the idea of, some trees and stuff like that. There on the edge of this hill, this back here. Just use the chisel part of your bristle and do them quick. Don't don't get too involved into that. Now we'll come in and let's just take like a little red here, touch into a little burnt sienna. I don't normally use that in these. I'm going to use the red. Touched in that by mistake. I use the red and the black here. Burnt sienna does work though, but I'm going to put in just some modelly kind of color here, a little different, and this is slightly warmer, so it'll give a different feel. And I'm just going to model this through here. My idea is to give the look of some back snow and back hills here, so I want to push in some blues here, some blue colors here. And I love to just take this brush and roll like this, roll and tap. That just gives lovely soft movement, very impressionistic, and the viewer will take a look at that and see what they see. That's what's really nice about that, is the viewer will see whatever it is that they want to see. Let's add a few more little up and downs here, like little trees maybe. There we go, just keeping that soft, impressionistic there. We can tap into some of our light, and you can create like little areas of little strikes of snow up along in that area too. Like you would have pockets of snow between trees and stuff, and so just a little bit of this tapping through here will do that, little areas, and put that on, and you can go back and put some trees on as well. Tap back into some trees and some movement there, but it'll put on like little looks of pockets of snow. And we'll just come back in and add some other kind of little up and down shapes, tree shapes, movement shapes there. Just to set that snow down into the ground with a few of these other little shapes, so you get just a feeling of some snow there. Let's put a little bit up in here. Just a bit. That's good. That's enough for that right there. Now let's green it up a bit. And one of the things is your color should change a little bit as you bring hills forward. We still want to use that atmospheric perspective and use some sky and stuff, but we'll change them up a little bit. So here we have our sky. Let's just get some of this green in there. Change that up a bit. We'll start out like this, and we may change it up a little bit more. A little bit of that blue. Help cool that just a bit too. Right into there. And let's imagine this hill coming back right through here like this. And coming in, and we'll maybe make it covered by a tree on this other side, but it'll come back through this way and die out through here like that. So we're going to create like a little V shape right back through here that cloud's going to play against. As a matter of fact, let's put a, where we really like to have that light horizon line back there. Before I get too far into this green, let me drop that light horizon line in there. That's where we want to have that. Right in there. That'll be good. We'll just whisper that right up. That's right where we want the viewer's eye to go, right down in there. Okay. So let's grab some of these browns and stuff and work this down. And let's just work this down. And I'm going to use the bristle this time. You can pull down with the big brush here, even with some of that blue in it still. You can pull some of that color down, get some of that movement there, pulling down. And go across a bit. I don't do that on every single landscape, which you can see it just sets in a nice little toned area there, movement area. Let's take just a bit of that green, just little touches of it here and there. Little touches of it, like there's little trees here that just a little bit of green on it, little pine trees and stuff that have a little bit of green on it. That's good. Right down through there like that. And Then we'll push up, darken up and push up here. Some of these other little bits of what will be trees here. And vary their heights, tap along here. Tap along and push the edges of those. Here, we can grab a little bit of that blue and touch some of that in there. It is nice blue and a little bit of that red violet to cool that down. Here, that's a pretty color. And again, you do use that blue, that red violet in a lot of this, just to cool that down. And so we'll just get some of this color modeling in there. But a little bit more shape this time, a little bit more shape, maybe 2 or 3 little trees here that have a little bit more shape to them. That will make these, come farther forward. You might want to go to a smaller bristle, or I like to every once in a while just use a small little flat too. My small little Fusion flat does a great job of making little trees. Or little color lines in some of these trees. Little angles, little pushes of color, stuff here. A little dark color is going to cause it to come forward. Here. There we go. And just keep those kind of soft, very impressionistic here. And we'll let this come a little bit more here this way. Just put on a little color like that. And then we'll come up and shape these just a bit more. Darker colors come forward. Put them in some clumps too. Put them in some clumps of color, like clumps of trees, and some like darker ones will come a little forward here. And I'll play these dark ones right here, right against that edge of that other one there, so of this, so that these come forward. This nice dark really comes forward. We'll put some snow on and then have to come back and hit these again. But we'll play these little dark areas here. Just cross the brush like this, up and down, and then just cross the brush. Or you can use your little bristle like we've used on other ones. Just keep them very casual. Just ideas of little trees. Remember, we're painting kind of quick here. We might just, before we go add some other trees and stuff, we just might come in here like this. Even use your knife. You could use your, see, the knife here puts on some like suggestions of the snow a little bit more detailed, which is going to bring the actual objects, a little more detail here. It's going to bring this snow and everything just a little bit farther forward here, and which works nice for us in this scene. So we'll just drop this in and just kind of model that edge, that ridge line edge there. Model this back a little bit because we do want it fade away. We'll cover some of this with a tree, but let's put some in there, and it's nice and soft. Get that movement down in there. Nice movement. Yeah, see, doesn't that do a lovely job of that along that tree line? Well, let's just come back in. We'll take a little bit of that white, just every once in a while, just touch into some of these areas here. You will pick up, especially playing against that dark, you will pick up a little bit of white every once in a while on hitting the edges of these trees and stuff. So we do want to show that. We may add some additional trees, which I may, and it's hard to know exactly right now until we get some more of our setup. But I'll take some of my dark color. I'll show you, and we can put some in here. And like if I'm going to bring my river right up through here like this, and maybe going around a little bend, I may want to have a tree in here that just helps pull the viewer's eye this way, and so I might just drop one right in here. A little bit of smashed color there. So that little bit of tree that's going to go here, and we'll put another smaller one and stuff. That's just going to help right where I'm going to be visioning this this turning here around the corner here, and that's where my plan is. I might have to change it a little, but that's basically my plan. So I'm just kind of tapping back and forth, walking it up like this, and then walking it into its little point. These pines and ponderosa pines, jack pines, these kind of trees, they're like a triangle. You just paint them like a larger at the base and coming up to the top up there like that. You can also just set in large volumes of dark areas like this and just kind of let them model together where they're flowing together there for right now. Just seeing the little edges of the tops is all you need here. And we'll just get a few ideas of some of these. Get some more green. Vary that green a little bit. Change maybe a little more yellow. Change the color a bit. And just variation here. Add a little bit more going on. Some more trees. These will be hardly noticeable in the end, but that dark one right there should help pull the viewer's eye this way. We'll just drop this right on down here. In fact, let's just take some of this and model that with some white, and let's just drop this right on down here. Nice snowy colors here. Pull this down there like that. We'll pile, if you just pile a little bit of that up in front of the tree just with your knife and pull down at a slight angle here like that. Do it kind of quickly. Don't play with it too much because then it'll all become the same. So, it's kind of like pile it up there and pull it down and get out of there. Don't do too much with that. Got a little bit of violet over there into that side. And we'll just kind of take a little green and go through that. There we go. And then we'll pull a little light through that. And that will soften that out. And how do you know to do that? Your greens and your violets, your yellow greens and your violets are complements to each other. And so, we know that we have to do that. Get those complements to gray out. And that's what we're going to want to have in this. Snow is really just a grays. And so we're going to play the violets. And here I'll just take a little bit of my violet right into that green. Let's just make a cooler color. I have it on that side, so it came out as a little mistake. I'm just going to go ahead and add some of it over in some of the other areas here. It's just a nice color variation, nice color difference here. There you go. And right out through here, we'll drop that right on down. That's good. We'll work that right on down. Nice big dollop of moving snow here coming down this way. There we go. And we'll come back and we'll pick up just a bit of the white stuff. Just add just a bit of it here to these trees. This time be a little more careful and you can help shape that tree a bit more. There we go. The hardest thing, I think, in painting these is to set up a pattern of, move up a little bit, tap, 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 move up a little bit, tap, 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 is to get that nice variation to the tree. And that's the hardest thing, I think, younger painters have too. And I still struggle with that too because I'm a left-brain painter, so I will tend to just repeat the same pattern. So here I want to just get some of that nice coloring in there. There we go. Just give some of that. And let it go. A little Disney there for you. Let it go. And that's good for for that. You can take some out or pull some out to give different feeling and movement to it if you want. But that's pretty good for that particular area there. What I want to do right now, I'm going to put a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit in here just to say we did it, and we'll probably cover some of this up with a tree. I like to, for visual depth, I like to do that. Now, let's get into the fun part. Let's get down into our river and take our blue. Let's take a cooler, let's cool it down a little bit with some of our red violet here, and drop that right up here. That's pretty nice. A little bit of black into that to gray it down. Same kind of sky color. Remember, your water and everything is your sky, okay? So every time you paint water, you're really kind of looking at your sky. Winter will be a little different because we're going to carry some real darks in it, and I'll show you that in just a minute. But we'll get that little bit on the violet side. That's a good little color right here. So we're going to bring out a little peninsula-like thing here, and we're going to bring this river out this way, here, right like this. And then it's going to swirl around here and come right back up to the front up here again. So we'll put all of this, and this will all go over here to this side, all into the blue, all into the river here. So let's get some of that violet, blue and black here. Let's just get that going right into all this. Cover up all your holidays, the little canvas holidays there. Just cover that all up. Get lots of paint going in here. Make sure you have no holidays. Those are going to be very important. We'll cut this around like that. That'll be our ground. We might want to bring that ground down a little more, but we'll leave it right there for right now. And we'll just grab some of this through. The other way is, so that I don't get too much the same with that brush, is to go ahead and is to put some of this on with a knife. Just pick up this color right here like this and just model it through. And look at that beautiful difference, that variation you get there with the knife. You know, that's the job of the artist, is to get this color variation through there. And the knife does this just so nice, as long as you pick it up without mixing it up. Don't mix it up, you know. Just pick it up here, and that'll work pretty good. Right in there like that. That'll get our colors in. That'll get our river, kind of our idea of our river. It'll go back up over to that side there. That'll be kind of fun. And that'll give us some room to put some trees right up over here. We'll put another tree or a bank or something like that over here. Matter of fact, let's just take some of this nice cooler gray color here. We'll make sure it's cool. Make sure we got a lot of that red violet in there. Nice cool gray. We're gonna have a bank. I'm envisioning kind of a bank right here, kind of coming down like this before it goes to the flat of the snow here. So it's gonna come like this, and we might have a bush or two with some little trees and stuff coming up here on the side, and then it'll go to the flat here of the snow. And let's just pick up some flat of snow. We'll warm this part a little bit because it's going to be heading into the light. So tiny bit of yellow into it this time. That'll warm it, and this will be our plane, our nice warm plane of the snow here. We'll go right up against the edge of the water here. Right up here like that. And we'll drop that right down here like this. So this will come down like this and then flat out like this. Doesn't that look great? Here. There we go. And we'll just pick up some of that coming right down there like that. That's kind of nice. And it will be a little bit warm over on this side. And we might want to make this into a little bank as well. We'll pull this down, coming down like this. Make that into a snowbank there, coming that way. And snow scenes like this are actually easier than you think, you know. I mean, because look at this. I mean, it's already looking pretty nice, and we haven't really done all that much to it, you know. Just watching some of our warms and cools and getting some of those variations of colors, you know, just adds so much. Now with all that, I've decided I'm going to put just a little bit more of a cloud right up here, just because I think that would help a lot there visually. So I will do that, build that up and pull back just a bit. I like that coming right down through there. Maybe just a bit. You can put like a mist or a cloud going over the edge of the edge there. That would be pretty. Little knife work here. Nice thick white. Okay, I'm going to take some nice thick white and just work this right up against, and we use that knife very flat here, and I'm just going to pile on some white here and smear that down and let this kind of undulate a little bit. This will give us a nice bit of snow here right on top of this other snow we just put on that's kind of bluer, right like that. So some nice light snow. And you know, when you do snow like this, doing it a few times in a few layers really work nice like that. That looks pretty nice. And I think I'm going to take this, maybe take this rubber back just a bit more back over here. Point that up a bit so we can almost like hide it here back behind a tree. That might give us even a little bit more going on. Let's get some cool color back out here again. Some of our black and our red violet, and let's get a little bit of our blue into that. A nice dark cool color, and we'll start our dark contrast, which is going to come up into the edge of the water, which is going to be right here, which is, we really want to get that water really dark and cool. We're going to want to play some other colors into it. We'll spend a lot of time right in this area of the water here in a little bit. So, but I want to just cut that bank in, just so you can see that. Here we go. Let's cut that in. Let's get that right over here to this side as well. Pick up that color. Just deposit that. And we'll let it just kind of dribble along here and there along the water's edge there, which we'll soften some of that out. We'll just let it dribble a little bit back here. Not quite as dark. Just run it in and out of that blue a bit and it won't be so dark. We'll just let that just kind of fade away here. There on that side. It'll just help, you know, sometimes where the snow comes right up against the water, it builds up against the edge and you get a little shadow line right through there. And that's what we're kind of looking for. That little shadow line. Let's pick up a little bit of that dark here. Here we go. And a lot of times we like to just pull down like this, which, you know, pulling down stills it, and side to side gives it action. So we're going to pull down quite a bit. We're going to put some colors of our composition into the water and then pull down to still the water. We'll get some colors in here, but the water like this, especially in this part here, I'm going to end up painting that several times, getting the look, getting the colors just right, you know, that I want to have in there. Okay, now let's just go back up here. Take some of this, we'll gray this right up into right into our whites here with our grays, some of our earlier grays, a little bit cooler color here. We'll flatten out and we'll add just a little cool color interest here. And just a little modeling interest of the snow there, like little edges, little banks, little things coming out here. Breaks that up a bit. Cool this back. Here we'll smooth it just a bit so it will come forward. It'll play against the light we have right there. And that'll make it come forward. So, and we can just put a little bit of this gray. This will all covered up by, I'm envisioning some trees over here, but we might as well just finish the effect here, coming down that side there. And so maybe there's some nice snowbank coming down that side there, and down in through here. Lighter one. You don't know, that's just kind of crossing right back in there, back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to put some trees right here, which is really going to cover some of that. But let's keep going with a little bit more of our snow. Now angling our snow down, rounding it just a bit. And you can do it with this. You can do a small flat. You can do your knife. Like I say, I love to paint the snows and stuff with the knife, and pull different way back, and you'll get this nice variation to it. It's like the knife is just like sliding over butter here, because the paint is so thick. And you try not to do it too many times, or else you'll lose all of that interest of your snow. So don't do it too many times. Don't pull back and forth too many times. And it'll give a nice little variation. If you come out just a bit, you make that look like little bits of it in the water there. Just a touch. And let's just grab a little bit, breaking up our gray here, little banks. Breaking up our gray. Okay. And back up over to our nice thick stuff. A little warm, little yellow in it. Little bit of yellow into a nice thick, so I have a nice thick warm kind of snow here. Maybe we want to put some little bits into the into the river here, so we'll look at that after we get some of the movement into the river. But I want to get some of this nice, slightly warmer kind of snow right down here, cutting against this edge here, pushing that back and forth a bit. Get some of that movement right there. Right here against that. There we go. Right there against that. And we'll just go in and out of that just a bit. You just destroy that edge there for just a second, and then I'll come back up onto the edge here like this, and that'll help me get like little edges of snow and the water crossing each other there. So, and I got that a little straight, which I don't want to do, so I'll just take another little edge of that out a little further than like that. That's good. And I could still come up and add more things in there, but I like that crossing of the first kind of blended in and out like that kind of crosses and drags some out into the water there. And then you can come in and just tap along and bring the curved part of the snow down like that. And that edge, that helps that. Let's grab some of this warm and just drag some right down here like that. That's that warm snow. There we go. I like how that comes right down from this top up here. Nice. I love that little drift right there. I want to put a little bit more of a drift up from here. There we go. Down like that. Let's drop this little drift down there. Like that. That's kind of pretty. We'll just round this corner with that. Thing is, don't get it too white. Don't get too much white going on there. And we're doing pretty good so far. We're keeping those grays nice. Cooler gray. Let's go back up to our cooler side here. Gray this up. And we'll drop some interest in. I got a little yellow into that, too much. So get some of that gray back into here. And we'll start to imagine this curved bank here. Let's just use our finger to kind of move that together for a minute. And where it's going to kind of slope out here, we'll take the knife and just kind of bring those together like this. Bring those into a kind of a slope. It doesn't snow doesn't just stop at angles. It kind of builds up into those into that angle, and will just kind of slope. So that's what we want to suggest, is just a little bit of a slope with that color, that temperature change from the warm to the cool there. Okay, so we'll go up like that. just adjust that slope there like that. And some more stuff going on here. So it's actually easier, like I say, to put this snow on and get these snow effects than it is with grasses and stuff sometimes, because they're so they're so different. I mean, it's white on white, and it gives those nice gray variations, and you can achieve that pretty easy. Here we go. That's pretty nice. A little bit here, little touches, little shimmers of the whiter snow, just to break up some areas, especially up in here, and give some of that nice movement there. Okay. Now up in here, we want to drop in some trees. Let's start to drop in some of our trees. I'm going to use a flat brush here. You can use a 6 or an 8 or something like that. Let's come down and grab some of our. Let's come right over here. Grab our blacks and our reds. That makes that brown with a little bit of yellow. Makes that nice, lovely brown color. Let's cool that, just a touch of the blue into that, and red violet, just a touch into that. We'll cool that right on down, and we'll start some of our, like the look of a tree or so coming up here, right up to this side here, and we'll just let it kind of fade away like that. We'll widen it out here at the base, move this up and down a bit, let it play against that white, soften the edge against the white snow here. You could use your knife. Sometimes I use my knife on these. And sometimes I'll tap a little bit to fracture the, give fracture the color and give more modeling interest to the trunk of the tree. I'll pull that down just a little farther there. And then we'll start to bend out some of the branches here, like we've done with some of our other things, and give a little broken up areas. And these trees here, we're going to be doing a lot of little branches and stuff on them, but they will my idea is to fill up this area right here with some trees and then some bushes here. Let these go up here. And just let that fade away like that. And there we go. And like that, and we'll drop a few more trees. One of the problems I had when I first started painting trees is I brought them all down to the same point. And you don't want to do that. You want to vary it, or do kind of like what I'm starting here, and that's making them all, evenly spaced. You don't want to do that as well. So you want to give ideas of other ones in here. Here, like that. There we go. Just some other ones, filling up in there. So use this, and you can go to a smaller brush or a liner brush or so if you want to put in some like little ones that just kind of bend out a bit, and come out. And so you can go to let's go to a liner brush. I love this little quill. I'll use that every once in a while, especially in my rose mauling. But you just kind of roll it a bit and wrap around like this in your fingers with some, and it will make just lovely little different movements and stuff on trees. But the big thing is, use different ones to get some variations. Different tools. Using the knife. We've used the knife several times on the other ones to show you that, and I've used it on all kinds of other videos as well. The knife works very well. We'll just start to add some, filling up little branches and ones that wiggle and go out in all different kinds of ways here. And to make some, so that painting trees is and understanding their movements and the ways in which the branches and stuff go out is really kind of an art form too. And I'm getting better at it. As I go, as I paint more and more and more of these. Here, trying to get rid of some of my habits of following and bending and but of making them all like little soldiers. That's one of my habits, and getting away from that. So I'm just kind of filling that whole area up there, this side. We might do another little background one back here. Just a little suggestion of some right through here like that. Just going around the corners here, just some filling up here, like there's something going in there. And they'll start to collide and overlap each other in here, and that's what I'm looking for. So you can see it's starting to hide that back hill here. So I'm getting some other little branches and stuff going on there. And that's just all colliding. And my idea here is a few of them coming around to this side here, like that, and just little bits. And this will help give depth. So if you see trees like this, and landscape painters use trees like this to help establish their perspective and depth. You can see it going around the corner there. And that just helps you with all that, lovely depth. So let's take and pile up a little bit of snow right at the base of those trees. Sometimes we'll put a little shadow at the base of those trees. Or if you just tap up into some of that tree you just did and pull down, you'll get a little shadow there. Because some of that wet paint, that will just pull down and give you a little shadow right away, right at that tree. You don't have to add anything more there. So I'm going to add, I've got this stopped right at that line. I'm just going to take some of these right up a little bit higher. Right there. Right up there like that. Get rid of that light one right there. That's kind of nice. This is a little stiff, that one right there. So I'll just decorate it up with a bunch more little branches. Go through. There, like that. That's bringing it all in. There, that's nice little bits going on there. And we'll take some of our gray or cooler snow right up here on the hillside and pull these down. Right up into that tree there, and pull that down. Right up into that one there and pull down. Pull down just a bit. So it hits the tree, and see, and it pulls that shadow at the same time. And then we'll grab a little bit of our little bit lighter color and just pull down like that. And still leave that cooler, but we get a little bit of that light just coming right in there like that. And then we'll just swoop that just a bit. There we go. Just like that. A little bit of gray, and we'll just kind of walk around that corner here. Let this just fall that way. There we go. Now I got that gray a little bit farther over here than I wanted, so I'll back that out. There we go. That's good. And I'm going to restate some of that gray right in here. Just kind of swooping up here for this hill before it goes right down to that flat and picks up that nice light tone. There we go. Yeah, that's kind of nice. And so I got that one side there. We'll come over here to the other side. I'm going to put a couple of those trees in, and then some of the like pine trees. So, because I think bringing the pine trees in here will help you with the depth going back. So you see here mid-grain and here and mid-plane, and then here and here going back. So I want to definitely add some pines in here. So I'm going to take some of my yellow right into my blue, black, and red violet there. And we'll start a couple of our pines. Let's start like a pine right here, and then we'll intermix it with some of the other trees, other tree types. But let's just pull right across here and get like some heavy color right here. And that heavy color, some people that heavy color will really bring it forward here. Now some people do these with their you know, with like a little fan brush and stuff like I've said before. I like to use the little flats. I like to use a variety of brushes so that I don't always paint them exactly the same way. So I like to use a variety here. So here I'll use the edge of this brush here. Slowly change its position to the upside here. And we'll just put on the little tips here. There we go, just like that. Some nice variations to those. It's a nice sized little pine tree there, and we'll pull some out to the other side. Sometimes I just pull out with these as well. We're going to add snow all over this. This is one reason why I'm not too concerned, but because we're going to snow all over this. That one right there. But you know, sometimes reach out a little farther, then reach short, then reach out again, out there like that. That's what a pine tree does, you know. I mean, and so reach out and pull back in and reach out and get some variations to the how far you're reaching out. And that's what happens to those. And we'll tap some out a little farther, shorter, a little farther, shorter. Here, that's a pretty little tree. And we'll get a little more dark right down in here. Here we go. We'll get some of that shadowing right down underneath the tree. Just take some of that color and just run it right into the shadowing there. Run that right in like that. That'll set that in there. And maybe we'll put the edge of another one right here. And a little bit wider. Go out a little farther. So I just play this back and forth like that. But sometimes I like to just take the flat and just come in there and just plow on some things. Remember, this is quick landscapes here too, so we want to be a little quick with it. These are quicker techniques, you know, not perfect little techniques. That's good. Don't get bogged down in the details, like I say in every one of these videos. Don't get bogged down in the details, because you use these types of techniques, these quick painting techniques like this, they really do, they add a certain air of impressionism to it, and that's very important to the freedom of this painting, you know, that impressionistic look to it we want to have, and that freedom here. Let's grab a little bit more of the yellow kind of into that to green that up just a bit more. And there, you got a nice little, and we'll put some snow on that in just a minute. And again, get down in there and get that shadowing in. Get that shadowing into that area, around that tree, up underneath that tree. Get that shadowing. Pull that down. That's good. And then we'll fill in here. You know, you might, and to keep, you know, edges and stuff like that. I mean, one thing that you know, I try to do is to keep overlap a little bit some other ones here. So maybe we'll put a smaller one here that this overlaps just a bit. Get rid of those little holidays. So the feeling, some of this will be covered up by the frame, but this little overlap here of this kind of softer one right there, and that just gives more, again, more interest, more depth. So anytime you can take it, what we call formalize something, put one back behind there like that, that just adds a little bit more depth, a little different than this boom boom, you know, have something there. Okay, let's get back into our browns, black and red, a little bit of yellow, and we put a little bit of blue and stuff into that to cool that down, a little blue, a little red violet into that. And let's put a couple of trees here. Back up like that. Matter of fact, I'm going to use my quill for this. And we'll just put in a nice variation, nice size of trees here. Right like that. And make sure that you drop them down to different heights, different levels. We'll bring that one right there to the front here. And bring some of these little branches out. Here. Just look, use that. That little quill looks so nice on these little ones. Here. And we'll fill up these little branches. And just let it get lighter, airier. You know, try to cross a plane like I'm trying to cross this little plane right up there. Anytime, you know, don't stop at that hill line right there. Try to cross a little plane with it so that it adds interest. If you cross the plane, if you stop at those lines, it creates what we call tangent lines and just actually makes the painting more stiff. So it's one of the things I look for quite a bit. Here we go. Now you can come through and on these little trees and stuff, and I'm just gonna pick up some white right on the edge of this little liner brush, and I'm just gonna clump a little white every once in a while on the tree here. So little touches of just the white here on the trees. Because you would have that. You would have some of it just touching right there where it sits, where a branch is kind of coming into the trunk of the tree. You'd have the little clumps of it. Some of it sticking to the sides of the tree a bit. We'll come over here and do the same thing. Little bits of that just clumping right into there. Got a little much there, so I'll just shallow that out. A little bit right in there. So I just pick up like little dollops or little bits of this and just kind of dragging it into a few places on the tree where we would have that. A little bit on the side here. There we go. It's a little bit showing up here and there, and we'll go over, and I'm going to use my smaller little flat. We'll go over with our white loaded up onto our brush here, maybe some grays and the whites together here, and we're going to load some up onto our tree here, just with the small, pushing that around, the small flat. Pushing that around here. That's kind of like what I envision. See, it this hid, and by not doing anything over here, I create like this little, remember we didn't do anything, I create like that little misty area that's back behind, and that really allows that tree and stuff to come forward. So in my mind, you know, I mean, I saw that in my mind. I don't have anything I'm looking at. That was something that I might want to do. I'd like to do that. And, you know, it's a little bit of planning, a little bit of thinking, a little bit of planning, especially if you're painting for depth. And I'm going to put a little more right out here in the front of this. And I can take some of my darker color here and push out like this, and like push this out onto like branches and stuff too. So there's all kinds of ways you can pile that on there. And we'll just drag a little bit out through here like this, and let some hit this other tree. But we'll be a little bit less here. We'll just be a little more restrained onto this one and this one here. Now trees can point up, they can also point down. There's all kinds of ways you can do all kinds of trees. Your job as the artist, you paint them all, right? We paint them all. We don't just have a favorite, we paint them all. That's the one thing that in all of my painting classes and everything that I tell all my students is that I'll paint everything. I'll paint everything. A lot of stuff I don't like, I paint it so that my brush doesn't get habit, so I can come in here and just paint. Like I'm painting with a small flat on this. Sometimes I'll use a little fan brush, like a lot of people do, the quick landscape painters do. Sometimes I use a little round. I try not to always paint the same way, so my brushes and stuff don't get habits with them. I don't like the habits that can happen. And so we'll avoid those by painting. And then paint everything. Paint roses, paint ships, paint everything. So those all help you as an artist to see all kinds of different ways to do things. Okay, so that's got those guys in there like that. Those are pretty nice. I'm going to take and pull some of this shadow down from these trees here. That's kind of nice. We'll put a nice little darker shadow right up underneath those just to help that nice dark. We'll create that even more contrast right there. And then we'll plow some snow right up on next to that. Right up on next to that. There. A little bit, and leave that little, this is why I like that knife. I'll get that nice little gray dragging over there. Use the knife very light, just barely kiss the surface there. Just drag that through like that, and that adds that nice motion and movement right there. There we go. Nice feeling right there on that. We'll put some of that right down here. Right like that. There we go. Good, 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 good. That's pulled out. So you can use your finger to soften everything, but remember we're right up here by our center of interest, so we do want to keep some nice movement to these. So here we go. A little bit of that right on that one like that. Okay, that's nice. That's good. That puts that out there. Now let's go back to our water. Let's go back and play this water a little bit more, and let's get some of our blues right down in here. These grays. Let's take a look at these. Get this down, a little bit of that nice cool color in there, a little bit of that black in there. That's really kind of nice. Let's just move some of that in and out here, and maybe you'll put that on. Let's just go to a smaller little flat here and push some of that in and out here into that water's edge. As you can see, everything is still, we're about an hour into the painting. Everything here is still nice and wet and working these global colors. And global colors are wonderful to use. You can get 3-4 hours worth of working time on there if you mix them up with their extender, and you follow those instructions and mix them up for a few days and let that water bleed out. If you don't do that, they'll dry fast just like a regular acrylic. And if it's dry, if some area that you're working here is dry, and it happens, just come back and recoat it again. Just put a little more color into it and do it again. It doesn't hurt anything. So we'll pull down like that just a bit, and then we'll put a little bit up over in here and slide that around. We're going to let this become more like the sky though as it comes back up over here around the corner. We'll pull down just a bit to grab that stillness that's there with it. Pull down. Now we're going to create kind of a sky, a cool sky color here. I'm going to watch this. I want that red violet in there, here, and some of my blue. I'm going to create an area of real, it looks pretty much like the sky, and it needs a little more of that red violet here, and a lot of light into that here. And while we're going to do this, this is what we're going to use on, in fact, I'm just going to mix this up a bit in here, model this. Let's just grab some more of this. This is what we're going to use on the water to create the look of ice and stuff. It's going to really be the sky color. And so that's pretty darn close right there. And we'll be dragging that right around the sky here pretty quick. But first what I want to do is get some more of these colors in. Now I have some of these greens. Let's get some more color. So I got that ready to go. Let's get some of these greens, some of my pine tree greens and stuff, some of my nice reflections of some other kinds of colors that are in the scene are going to go right into the water, right in there. We have some of our, nice brownish colors and stuff, some yellowy kind of colors. We have some of those, some of the feeling of our grays, from the snow stuff. That's going to go in there as well, right in there. We've got to have this lights coming this way, so lights coming is hitting right down into here. We're going to have reflections, especially on this side of that snow. So I'm going to just reach over and I'm going to grab some of this snow color I had here, and that's going to be my reflection right here in my water, right here, just like that. And it's got to come at a little bit of an increasing angle here, out like that. So it follows that shoreline. Model that up a bit. That's going to be a nice reflection there. And I'm just going to pull across a bit and pull down a bit, pull down ever so much, pull across here so we get that nice reflection of that hillside. Let's grab a little more here, a little further out here. And by putting it on like this in short choppy things and work back and forth, you get that nice undulation and variation that you have on the in the scene itself, on that snow already over there. You can also, let me just show you, you can also do this with the knife here like this, and see how you can drag that and get that same type of look. And it doesn't need to be an exact copy of it, it just needs to be a nice look of it. And then you can just take your soft brush and come through with your soft. You could use a big soft one, like we've done Henry Parker techniques and stuff, with the big soft one, and blur it. You don't blend it, you blur it. You don't use the big soft brushes to blend. I use them to blur. There's a difference. I think my own personal feeling is artists today use too many mops. They use too many mops, and they just mop all the life of the painting out by making it so smooth it's plastic looking. And I don't really care for that. There's a lot of people that do. I myself don't really care for that. I'm going to come in here now with some of my sky color, and we'll establish the kind of icy cold look of the water here with the sky right over my dark there. And maybe, so I got that in there, and that looks pretty good right there like that. So maybe we come in and we add little touches of little bits of the like little snow and stuff like that on the surface there, little edges of it and stuff, just dragging through here. That looks pretty nice, right on the surface of the can have a little snow. There, like that. Little bits of it right up in here. Tap it a little bit, break it up a bit. There, like that. You can take the darker color, the blue, the black, and the red violet, and just hit underneath that here and there to establish a little bit of like shadowing, which would be there if that was snow sitting on top of the like a sheet of ice or water floating on the water. The snow will float on the water as well. And just kind of tap underneath and pull around a bit. Just like that. It just gives nice additional movement there to that. Cold, it looks cold. That red, violet, and black just makes it so cold. Let's put a little sky color out like that, right up against that edge. Pull down just a bit for that. Pulling down is very important for the stillness and creating the reflections there. Just come in like that. And a little bit of snow there, and we'll just take a little dark, like a little contact shadow. If you were painting a still life or something like that, you would have a little contact shadow there. There we go. Just disrupt that edge a bit. Yeah, like that. And see, this is a nice area to work right in here because it's pulling your eye right in here like that. I'm going to work this area right in here as well. So I got some of those greens in there, and I want to get some of the feelings of the trees and stuff with the whites and stuff in there. Then again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I just need the movement of it. Just the ideas of that in there, like that. And little trees, little darks, little dark lines. Again, not perfect bits, just ideas of those sitting in there, and we'll just blur that out a bit. There, like that. That's kind of neat. Puts that in there, and little bounces of light and bounces of snow lights. Here shines and shimmers through. Here little shines and shimmers through. Here like that. And get into this sky color gray. This is really what we're going to use up into the front of the scene. We'll put a little bit back in here. Just to create a little bit of movement here. Through that, maybe a little bit of snow coming through. You can see you get different looks from the knife to painting with the brush here. And again, I paint very specifically, so I paint for the different looks. That's what's giving this. I like that little that from the knife, those little fractury little looks there from the knife. Now I'm going to come right down here to the front. This is where you got to be a little brave, and we're going to put the sky in. Right down here. Okay, we'll go up and down and side to side here. Put the sky in. Right over some of this. And this is right where a lot of my students kind of die. They go, oh, you ruined it. No, I haven't. Because I'm going to put that in, and then we're going to come back and move this through here. This is what really gives you your look of snow and ice and stuff going on here when you put all of this heavy stuff up on the top, up in the front. We're going to put some snow up on here as well. And just kind of move this through, soften this just a bit. But see, you get that, the knife puts on that color, and then you get all this variation, this undulation variation to it that's just lovely into the painting here. This kind of stuff is just lovely. But I do really like winter scenes that have a real dark, like contrasty kind of thing going on. And we'll start some of that. We'll restate some of this right in here. But you play this like right up against this hill and through our thing there. Get this dark. And I did this in a winter scene in our landscape book. And I really like it when I play that dark. And what it really does is it keeps this nice cool and keeps the contrast between the snow and this real cool dark right in there. And it gives just a tremendous amount of interest there. And we'll keep that, some of that right up in here. Some of that right in here. Here. So a little red, violet, and black here. Very, very dark, cool color. I love that knife going on there too. And it gets that fractury little look. Too bad that little fracture right there will be covered up by the frame, but that just looks awesome when you get those right there like that. Let's drop in a little bit of that cool color. There we go. Right in there like that. And over here towards the other side, let's get some of that right in there. And that just, again, I'm playing these against, these cools and stuff against that snow. And that's when you get against the white of that snow, this cool dark, and you get this ultimate contrast and really pulling your eye front here into the scene. There we go. And a little more. That tree, I lost that one set of trees there because I played in this. That's okay. I still got a pretty good look of those right in there. What I like. Just drag that across there a bit. There we go. So you leave a little bit of that, just shimmer a little bit of that, of this sky color. Just shimmer a little bit of that over the edge of those darks. And you get that beautiful, really cold, icy look. There we go. It's kind of pretty. And we'll get just a bit more light right in there. Like that. Yeah, a little bit up here. Here like that. That's coming pretty well. And it's, do you want to put some of those nice snow mounds up here into the front? Which I kind of like them. So we'll drop a few of those out in here. Right up into this area here. We'll let this one kind of touch the bank a bit here. And we'll lift up and back and forth just a bit here. Just to take it out. Uneven a bit. You can mound them up. Sometimes they get like little mounds. And I kind of made those three just kind of perfectly in line. That's my left brain, so I'll take care of that there. And we'll go back to our smaller little brush with the shadow and work a shadow underneath them. Little contact shadow. Maybe work a little sky color onto the sides to give them a little bit of a shadow. Here. A little shadow line. There, like that. Bit of snow. There, piled up on the edges. There, like that. Just here and there, we'll pile some maybe a nice broken little line of it right here. Right into the water. There. And again we'll just pull down a little, like it's just a little mound of snow. So it's going to have a little contact. There, like that. And on the edge, isn't that kind of pretty? Like that. And we'll put on just a little bit of a reflection right in here. A little bit of a reflection. I always like to pull down, pull across several times until I get that look that I like. Here. I like that knife because it's not perfect for that. Especially on this winter scene. On a real, like when we do Reflection Lake, that one's very smooth. You can use the knife, but you use it slightly different. But I like to just skip the knife on this when I paint the winter scenes, so that you get these like little icy patches and stuff onto the top of the river here. So gives it a nice look, nice snowy look to it. But on Reflection Lake, I use it a little softer and burnish it down in and where I get a smoother look. So, but I like this kind of fractured look for the look of snow here. There we go. So that's pretty good. So maybe a little bit more as it dries down. You might want a little more light or a few more little trees. That's yours to look at. But there's a quick and easy little snowscape for you, keeping warm color down here where the light's going to be hitting, more of the gray tones into your red violets, blacks and red violets, and a little bit of blue, in on this other side over here on the slanting side of the hills and stuff. And just have a good time with it. I might want to put since I got so much going on here, I might want to put another little cloud or so up there at the top. But you let it recede back. So I hope you enjoy it. I'll see you on the other landscapes. We're still having fun. See you then.